So it's 2023, brand new year, and already there's a ton of stuff affecting the tech industry. We've got tools like ChatGPT, all kinds of tech layoffs, just the economy in general, and if you're a software engineer or programmer, you're rightfully probably a little bit worried and concerned and thinking about how you can best prepare for what may happen in the next 6, 12, 18 months, etc. Now, I'm not here to worry you. I think that if you're in the tech industry, you're going to be completely fine. Really, what I would be doing now is just working on your skills, getting as good as you possibly can, and proving to either your current employer that you're worth keeping around or to a new employer that you're worth taking on, even though the hiring is kind of slowed down a little bit right now. So kind of summary here, don't be too concerned. I think everything is going to be fine. And what I'm going to do in this video is talk to you about Python specifically, and if I think you should be learning that in 2023 based on everything that's going on. Obviously, you guys know this is a Python-focused channel. I'm sure many of you are beginners just getting into Python, and maybe you're a little bit scared with what's going on right now and wondering, should I kind of be learning this? Should I keep going into this field? And many of you are probably intermediate or advanced Python programmers and thinking about, should I change languages? Should I diversify a bit? And that's what I'm hopefully going to answer here. Specifically, I'm going to tell you why I think you should learn Python, why I think you shouldn't learn Python, and then other languages I'd recommend if you're going to be moving away from the Python language. With that said, let's get into the video after a quick word from our sponsor. Before we get started, I need to thank Linode for sponsoring this video. I've been using and working with Linode for nearly 3 years now, and they've consistently been my go-to choice for hosting my applications and servers. In fact, right now I'm using Linode to host the official Tech with Tim Discord bot, a website, multiple of my domains, and a Kubernetes cluster. Now, Linode was just recently acquired by Akamai, and as a part of this acquisition, they're going to be adding more than a dozen new data centers around the world in the next year. Linode makes it super easy to spin up servers with their one-click app marketplace and have tons of written guides and YouTube videos on their channel to help you get started. Now, if you're having any issues, you can reach out to their 24/7 support team and actually talk with a real human being. Now, Linode's pricing is simple with no hidden fees and full transparency, and you can test out Linode services for free by using the link in the description and claiming an $100 60-day credit for any new accounts. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with Linode over the past few years, and one last thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Alright, so just as a mini preface here before I get into the main points of the video, if you're someone who's just getting into Python, you're just getting into software engineering, I think you should still continue down this path. This is definitely something that's going to give you a ton of opportunities. It's a great skill to have in general, even if you're not employed as like a programmer or a software engineer, and I don't think you need to be overly concerned. That's my opinion. Obviously, everyone has their own, but I'm still working on new skills right now. I'm learning new languages, and I'm improving constantly no matter what kind of the market looks like. With that said, if you guys do want to get a comprehensive overview of Python and just software engineering skills in general, I do have a course. It's called programmingexpert.io. I will leave that link in the description. Alright, so let's get into the bulk of the video here and discuss why you should learn Python or continue learning it. So first of all, Python is a general purpose programming language. It's extremely popular, used by tens of millions of people, typically ranked one of the most popular programming languages in the world based on use case as well as demand for developers. There is tons of different jobs and you can really do anything you want with Python. With that said, Python is not always the best language for a specific task, but since it is so general, you can pretty much do anything you could imagine. So if you learn Python, you have the ability to do machine learning. You can make a website, you can make a game, you can make a backend server or API, you can mess around with databases. Pretty much anything you can imagine, you can write in Python. So as a first language, it's very good because it gives you a lot of different avenues and allows you to explore a bunch of different options before maybe learning a more specific language for the specific path that you want to go down. With that said, Python is also a very beginner-friendly language. It's typically very fast to learn. If you already know a language, it's going to be very fast. You can probably pick it up in a few weeks or maybe even a month. And it's something that's very easy to read and fast to write code in. So if you're someone who's maybe not thinking about being a career software engineer, you're just kind of learning programming to pick up a little bit of a side skill, maybe it's something that interests you, definitely a language I would recommend because of the general purpose aspect of it and the fact that it's going to be very fast to learn and it's not super complicated. There's a lot of other programming languages that may be better suited for a specific task, but are a bit more complex. There's more theory, more logic that you need to learn, and it can be a bit discouraging. Whereas Python, I find people typically build a lot of confidence with it very quickly, start building apps, projects, etc. And then that accelerates them into a second, third, fourth language, beyond that. So hopefully that's kind of a general overview of Python. Now, relating Python to the current situation, I think Python is a great language to learn, especially if you're going to be interviewing. So if you're going to be interviewing, I like doing it in Python because it's a very fast language to write, just in terms of the syntax. It's very simple. It's very easy for your interviewer to read it, and it has a lot of helpful functions, methods, etc. that can save you quite a bit of time when you're doing a coding interview. So something to consider, doing a coding interview in Python, I would say, is way easier than doing it in Java or C++ or C# or something else that you may know. Personally, I did all of my coding interviews in Python, and even if someone doesn't know Python, since it's just such a simple language, kind of with the syntax of it, it's very easy for them to read and understand what you're doing. Now, going beyond that, I will mention that Python does have a ton of jobs. Typically, Python is going to be some kind of requirement, or you're going to have to be at least familiar with the language, and that's because it really is used everywhere, and you're going to find it in a lot of code bases, even if it's not the core language, for different scripts or kind of smaller aspects of the code, and a lot of employers want to know that you have some comfort and some familiarity with it. So even though it's not always going to be the primary language you need to know to get a job, it's typically some kind of prerequisite, and there is a lot of just straight Python jobs. So with that said, that's why I think you should learn Python. Now let's talk about why you shouldn't learn Python. So why should you not learn Python? Well, there's many reasons here, but most of them stem from the fact that Python is a very general language. Now, that's good in some instances, but in this case, it's bad because that means that Python is not the best language for a lot of different specific tasks. So for example, you can make a game with Python, but it's not going to be the best performing game, and you'd probably be better off using something like C# and Unity. For example, you can do, let's say, a mobile app with Python. But again, you'd probably be better off using a native language like Swift or Kotlin. You can do something like a website with Python or a backend with Python, but you might be better off using something like Go or Rust. So you see that although Python can be used for so many different things, if you're going to be a specialist in one specific area, a lot of times employers are going to look for someone who knows the best language or the best frameworks in that area. Now, that's not always the case. There is a lot of just pure Python jobs where companies use only Python, or they have their website or their game or whatever in Python, like I mentioned before. But in a lot of other cases, you have companies that may have Python as a second or third language that you need to know. And before that, they want you to be a pro at whatever the main language is for the kind of domain or task that you're going to be completing. So if you're going to be a game developer, you probably want to know Unity and C#. If you're going to be a website designer, you probably want to know JavaScript. Hopefully you get where I'm going here, but since Python is so general, you lose out on a lot of really specific jobs and kind of tasks if that's the only thing that you know. So that's the main reason why I wouldn't learn Python, or if I already know it, I might transition into something else just to make myself a bit more well-rounded and have more experience in a specific niche or more knowledge in a specific area. So really the main point there is that Python is more of a general language. You're going to be more of a generalist with that, whereas with another language, you're typically going to be more of a specialist and maybe have some better prospects, maybe some higher paying jobs or some more opportunity just because you know a language that maybe not everyone knows, whereas Python, kind of a lot of people know that and would consider themselves kind of fluent or competent in that area. Something worth considering. Going beyond that, I will also mention that if Python is currently the language that you know and you're good at Python, it's probably a good idea to branch out and learn a second or third language rather than just kind of diving into becoming an expert in Python. That's because, again, you've already picked up that general language, and now it's going to be worth it to pick up something more special where you can actually build more real production applications or stuff that's going to be better performing than what you might do with Python. There's a whole bunch of reasons here. Python is also a very slow programming language, and I could go on and on why you should and why you shouldn't learn Python, but I wanted to try to give you both perspectives here before I now move into the next section where I talk to you about what I would learn if you're not going to learn Python. All right, so let's say at this point you've decided that you're not going to be picking up Python. I'm not going to tell you that's the right or wrong decision. Depends on what you want to do and what field you're going to be getting into or what you're interested in. Again, to recap, if you're a beginner, I'd probably go with Python, learn that first, build up some confidence. If you're a bit more experienced or you're someone who already knows what field you want to go into directly, then I would pick up maybe a different language. Regardless, if you're not going to be learning Python, here are the languages I would recommend in 2023. These are ones that I'm personally learning, and I'll go through a kind of a brief rationale for each. So first, I might recommend doing some blockchain and Web3 development. Now, I know that market is kind of tanked, it's a lot lower than it was before, but I still think that this is going to be the future of programming and of the internet, and there is still a lot of money in this space and a lot of people hiring. It's actually very difficult to find Web3 engineers. I work with a few Web3 companies, and they're constantly looking for talent. Sometimes they're even hiring people that don't know any Web3 skills and then training them and paying them on the job. If you want to learn that, I do have a blockchain expert course. I'll link that in the description. You can learn everything you need to know about Web3 and blockchain technology. So that's one thing I might consider. Beyond that, I would probably learn a language like JavaScript. JavaScript is, again, a more general language, but it's really good specifically for web development. So it's a relatively easy language to learn, kind of similar to Python, but it's really good for building front-end user interfaces, for building websites, even for working on the back end sometimes as well. If you want to do it like that, you have options like React Native, Vue, Angular, React. There's all kinds of different frameworks you can use with it, and it's super high in demand. It's typically kind of tied or similar placing with Python in terms of the most popular programming languages. So I don't think you'd be poorly served by learning JavaScript, especially if you want to get into web development. It's pretty much a must if you want to get into the web development space. Continuing, I might recommend something like Go. Go is a newer and more modern programming language, also referred to as Golang. It's a language that I personally really like. It kind of combines the performance of a language like C++ with the simplicity and kind of speed to write of a language like Python. So if you do like Python, you like the style of writing Python code, but you want something maybe a bit more enterprise ready, a bit more performant, then I'd look at Go, and that is taught in my programming expert course. Now, lastly, I'd say you might want to consider learning something like Rust. I don't have a ton of experience in this language, but I did work in it a little bit and posted kind of like a mini series on the channel for it. A lot of you guys really seem to like the language. It's growing rapidly in popularity. There's a ton of demand for Rust developers, and even though it's not the most popular language out there, I think that in a few years it might be there, and it's something worth taking a look at, because if you could learn it now and be one of the earlier Rust developers, I think you're going to have a lot of opportunity kind of in the next few years. So those would be my recommendations here if you're not going to be learning Python. Regardless, I think you should still continue programming, still improve your skills. Check out products I have like Programming Expert and Blockchain Expert if you want a more kind of tailored way to do that. Obviously, I do have hundreds of videos on this channel too that can help you learn those skills. With that said, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.